president of major American organizations. Did I say it?
Very good.
Okay. Jewish organization. I knew I left something there. Anyhow, Malcolm, welcome to the Knesset. The floor is yours.
Thank you, and I speak on behalf of the chairman of the conference who is here
Chairman.
as well.
Yeah, I should welcome you, sir.
So,
Well, Malcolm.
Dorothy Parker once said after many speakers preceded her, everything has been said, just not everybody has said it. I will, I think, though, differ with some of the predecessors. It is not because Israel did anything wrong. There is nothing Israel could have done more right and not been subject to this criticism. Israel's criticized because Israel is. Israel criticizes as long as it exists. And the attacks on Israel, not because Israel's perfect, not because it does everything right, but the attacks on Israel, when the World Health Organization can criticize Israel alone amongst all the nations of the world, it's certainly not because Israel does anything wrong. It sends field hospitals to Nepal and to Haiti. It treats Syrians. It treats Hania's family. So it tells you what the core of this is, and that is a fight against Israel's right to exist. And for us to look and shift the onus in any way is a mistake. We have to recognize what the core of this is. The meeting in Durban was part of a series that goes back many, many years, but certainly starts with the Arab boycott in 1947 before the state. It includes the Zionism racism resolution, that we marked the 25th anniversary of the repeal of that resolution this year, but that was when the cork was taken out of the bottle, as somebody mentioned before, but it gave legitimacy to anti-Semitism that after the Shoah was not considered acceptable, even if people believed it. After they were able to express it, but as anti-Zionism, as anti-Israelism, even if you didn't say it, but you meant anti-Jewish. And we saw the progression of this continue after Zionism, racism, to the Durban conference, the Mexico conferences, other things, and now the BDS movement is a child of that. It is the expression today of that movement that began with Zionism, racism, got its boost at Durban. It doesn't matter what the language of the resolution, and I think I agree with much of Rabbi Melchior's remarks. The poison was put into the system, and we see it given expression every day in the United Nations. Donnie Gillerman, all the ambassadors have to fight it every day, and it's not because we see something wrong. And to me, the ultimate expression, which unfortunately does not get recognition here, was the UNESCO resolution that was passed just recently that took away 3,000 years of Jewish heritage, 2,000 years of Christian history, eradicated the Jewish and the traditional names of the Har Bayit, of the Kotel, which is now Al Burak's wall, Kever Rachel, Marat Machpelah. All the Jewish identity has been erased, and only the Muslim names remain in all official UN documents now based on the UNESCO decision. It's a disgrace, and the fact that we are not rising up in total revolt, where our grandchildren are being denied their heritage. This is the ultimate expression of Durban, of BDS, of Zionism, racism. They are taking away our past because they want to take away our future. Unfortunately, they understand it better than we do, that if we're cut off from our roots, if we're cut off from our past, what right do we have to be here in the future? The Zionism, racism, as was mentioned, goes after the collective Jew, the corporate Jew, the Jew amongst the nations that Donnie mentioned. But it is not because they don't mean us, they mean each of us. And that's why the diaspora has as much responsibility on this as Israel. This has to be a collective action. And we're privileged to work with Minister Erdan, with other foreign ministry, with other ministries. And there is much going on. It sounds like there's a desert. It's not true. We have a coalition of 40,000 Hispanic churches in America working on behalf of Israel. We have the Lawfare Project, 400 lawyers, most of them non-Jews, working on behalf of Jewish students on campuses across the country. We have trips here every month now, and we only have lists of movie stars and influentials of every kind who want to come. It's not because that represents that all is good. It is not, indeed. And Israel has to watch its actions at home, and all of those considerations are relevant. But we have to put the onus where it is, and that onus is on those who want to see Israel destroyed. It's not about 67, it's about 47. It's about the right of the Jews to have a state, the right of that state to defend its Jewish citizens. It's the right of a Jewish state to exist. And what we're seeing is that the destruction of the heritage, the morasha, the Yerusha, of future generations of Jews. You know, when throughout the ages, from the Romans to the Nazis, when they wanted to demean the Jews, to delegitimize the Jews, they would yell Hep, Jerusalem et perdita, Jerusalem is lost. There was no better way to, in a concise form, to put the Jews down. And now we see it happening where they've taken away our holiest sites, not just for us, all of Judeo-Christian heritage eradicated, and people are saying, well, maybe it wasn't such a good idea. It's not that it's not such a good idea. There ought to be a war to repeal this, because future generations of our children will not be able to go to these places, because the UN says it doesn't belong to Jews, it doesn't belong to Christians. We have no rights there. And that is what BDS sowed, is the reaping from what was sown in Zionism racism at Durban and all of the other conferences. It's a clear pattern of development until today. And we do have to devote the resources, we have to build coalitions, we have to find the friends, we have to make the strongest case. But the fact is that Israel has the strongest case against a resolution in the Committee on the Status of Women that Israel is singled out alone amongst the nations. Is that because Israel did something wrong? Is it because there's any legitimacy to it? The answer is no. It's because Israel is. If Israel isn't, they won't have a resolution, I promise you. Human Rights Council won't have seven resolutions every year, and only one item on a single country, on Israel. You know what? Israel's not in there anymore. Israel doesn't exist. I promise you that's the solution to their problem. We have to be honest and face the internal issues. That's for Israelis to do. We as diaspora communities have responsibility to work together to find the resources to fight this battle against racism. And this is a battle against racism against Jews, just as we fight it against others. The barriers have been broken. The taboos have been removed. Now we have to face a new challenge, and a new generation is rising that is not prepared, not equipped, not able to answer the challenges because we have failed them. You can't just bring them here when they're 18 and for 2 weeks on birthright and ignore them the first 18 years of their lives and expect them to be able to do it. We need to educate them. We need to use the resources of the ministry here, and we've talked to the minister about it. All of the ministries have to come together, coordinate, and make sure that we are in the forefront of this battle. We can win it. We have many more friends than people think, but we have to be there first.
תודה רבה. Thank you. Thank you, Malcolm. And again, Stefan Greenberg, thank you for coming.